Hi, this is Beverly Colt for Sparkle and Sprinkle. Today we're going to do some pre-embossed die cuts on this lovely card. Also a really cool background. And we're going to start right now with a piece of watercolor paper and the stamp set called Rose Heart. We're going to use the smallest stamp on the set, which is a little flower. We're going to use some Versamark ink and random stamp after we've made sure we use the static-free pad. It's easier to move the paper than to try to twist your hand around with the stamp. Try not to touch the surface while you're doing this. Your fingers will leave oils. And we're going to use some white embossing powder, which will make our image invisible until we add the next product to our card. So this will be heat embossed. And I can hold it with my fingers because I can move them out of the way. So this is all set to go. I just want to show you how I store my heat tool. It's plugged in, but I keep it in an IKEA box with some foil in the bottom, handy, and my cats can't knock it over. Now we're going to use some shimmer powder in the color Catherine Wheel. I'm tapping it into the center of each one of the flowers images. It may not be a whole flower, but the image gets a touch of this shimmer powder tapped lightly. Now I'm spraying it with some water, and you can see how the Catherine Wheel shimmer powder comes to life. Notice how the images hold the color, which is what makes this technique super beautiful and a lot of fun. I decided I needed some more powder. I probably didn't, but I thought I did. Every time you do this technique, you're going to come out with a different looking background, and it's just so much fun. No two are alike. I used more powder on this one than the first card that I did, so the background will be a little more intense. I'm finding that I need more water now because the powder is really sitting still and not actually dissolving. If the powder doesn't dissolve, it does have a tendency to fall off. So you want to make sure that you get that good and wet, even the darker places where the powder builds up. Make sure you get some water on there. So I'm just going crazy with this thing, putting a coffee filter underneath to catch some of the water, soak it up off of my glass mat. Adding a little more water. Ooh, look at that. It just sets the powder on fire. Love it. So this background is definitely more intense than the first one that I did. Now I'm just don't want to speed this up too much because I really do want you to see how it changes. Okay, now that powder is leaving a little bit of a powder on my mat, so you want to always make sure you wipe it up after you're done with this technique so you don't contaminate the next pieces that you work on. And I'm even going to turn this over and dry the back. Watercolor paper is important because of the amount of water we use. And if your piece of watercolor paper bends, it will flatten out again as you dry it. So see the difference in the backgrounds. The first one was lighter. So we'll put that aside. And now we're going to get to, well, I wanted to show you. You can even save your coffee filter for mixed media after it dries. A really cool thing to use. So now we're going to work on the part where we're talking about the pre-embossed die cuts. I am using Versamark again, good coat on only half of this piece of cardstock, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Doesn't really matter what size. You just want it big enough to do 2 different colors. First color we're going to use is Mulberry, and I'm giving it a good coating. This is regular embossing powder. That's nicely melted. Now flip your piece of cardstock around and do the other side, same way. Only we're going to use a different color. This time we're going to use Cayenne. Love this color. These are still Valentine-y colors, but they're not red and pink per se. We're going a little spicy here. So this is Cayenne. Same thing, I'm going to heat set that. Okay, so we have an entire piece ready to die cut. And I'm using the Will's Hand Love Die Cut. It's 2 cute little layers, 1 in each color. Run that through my die cut machine.
Hi, I'm going to interrupt myself right now with a commercial for our newest event here at Sparkle and Sprinkle. We have just released 8 new beautiful super thick embossing powders in Easter colors, well, spring colors, and they're so pretty. I was just sent a bunch, look, to play with, and we just named them, and they are available to you. So go to sparkleandsprinkle.net and search super thick embossing powder. Get yourself some of these new colors, and then make sure you check out my last video where I share with you some techniques with super thick. But also, stay tuned because Jess and I will have more videos for you and more super news for you in the upcoming months. So, oh, I better get back to my card. I'm sorry.
So, here I cut out my 2 Love die cuts. They're pre-embossed, which means the back of them are clean. When you emboss a die cut, sometimes you will get a kind of buildup of melted embossing powder, which makes it really difficult to stick your die cuts to another surface. But because the piece was larger and then I die cutted it after I embossed it, there was no buildup on the back of these pieces, so you could see how I was able to glue them together. Now, I'm going to take a piece of vellum and placing it kind of where I want it, I'm going to flip it over. I'm using some 1/8 inch Tear-ific tape by Sparkle and Sprinkle, of course. And I just want to show you here that it doesn't matter if you put it on the vellum or if you put it on the card itself. Once you rip off that backing, sticky on both sides, of course, then you're able to just fold it over. I used the lines on my glass mat to make sure that my vellum was indeed straight. Very easy to do with these lines. Okay, there we are. Now, I like it this way better. Just like that white on the bottom, I don't know why. And then we attach the love using some good glue. Tacky, I mean not tacky. This is not tacky. This is very adhesive glue. It's not going to peel off. This stuff is strong. Okay, so here we go. Look at this card. Now this is the first one and I mounted it on purple. This one I'm going to mount on this beautiful magenta color. And I'm going to use some more of that glue as soon as I line these up and show you what they look like next to each other. See the difference in the backgrounds? One is lighter, one is darker. Then I decided perhaps it would be nice to use a little bit more of our tape. I'm going to use it all the way around the front of my background. This is 1/4 inch tape, Tear-ific tape, and indeed it does tear so easily, which is really handy. Some of these tapes you have to cut, and when you've got your hands full, it's not so easy sometimes to grab another pair of scissors and cut in the middle of your project. So tearing does help. Although when I do this around the edges, you will find that I do cut so that it's nice and straight with the edges of the card. There we go. Peel it off, and we're going to add some, you guessed it, glitter. This is microfine glitter called Dreamin. After I trim off my excess, and you can save those pieces if you like, use them on something else. And now the glitter, as soon as I tear off the rest of the tape. Coffee filter, please. Just dump it on there, daydreamin'. Such a pretty, pretty combination of colors in this glitter. Tap it off. Glitter brush. And there's our background. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate you stopping by. Be sure to hit that bell so you don't miss a video. Have fun!